All right, boys. Before we jump into any dad wins or fails, actually, you know what? I'm going to nix dad wins and fails because I have a big dad win.
Big dad win.
For everyone.
Let's go for everybody.
Are we ready
Nice.
for a reaction video? I feel like the last 2 reaction videos we've done have all been centered around me, or rather my wife, being pregnant with twins.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Matt decided to copy the same thing and
Yep.
announce it on
Baby
here that he
boy.
was having a baby boy. I've got something way better than that.
Way better.
Way better.
You're really setting the
better.
expectations.
All right.
Way better
high.
than
All right.
having kids. Okay, so we've just announced to be born 3 children.
Yep.
Are you ready for it?
Let's
The
see.
anticipation. Can we get like when you
Better be some car keys or like
Yeah, seriously, a
tickets
chopper better be showing up
somewhere.
right now.
Yeah.
remember that episode where I said like most men when they become middle-aged have a crisis and they either start a podcast or they buy a red
yeah.
Porsche.
I do.
Well, guess what? Kidding. Look what I had made up for us.
Oh,
See that?
cool way.
Does that come up on the camera? I can't see. Kind of.
Yeah, we'll point to this one, this
I'll
camera,
point,
this
yeah,
camera.
you point
Yeah.
them. Point
Awesome.
them in. I've got some.
Dude,
These are like
these
the
are
dad
awesome,
hat
man.
versions.
I've got some
Nice.
some
Nice,
swag
man.
for us. Yeah.
This is
so
legit.
I can't take all the credit. I basically was super high maintenance with our account manager Holly.
Yeah.
And shout out to 47 brand. They hooked us up with the logo and everything.
Okay, nice.
So we've got Chief Dad Officer merch is officially out. And if anyone is interested in procuring some of this merch, we've got some initial samples that are out. So slide into our DMs, and we will do our best to hook you guys
How's
up.
it look, guys?
How's it look?
Oh,
I
looks
think you look
good.
great.
Legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
good.
I'll put my one on at the end. I don't want to ruin my hair because
Yeah.
we just gotta make sure the episode.
I don't know how these hats look at me. I never wear these type of hats. It'll be interesting to see. how
These
hats.
are my favorite brand of hats.
Are
the
they?
47 ones. Yeah.
Well, the
great.
47, but don't they have a bunch of different like types? Isn't
They have a
47
bunch. Yeah, they
brands?
do.
Okay.
But specifically, I like.
You
this
like the
buckle.
adjustable?
Yeah. My head's a medium, so I'm in between sizes, kid size and adult size. So this is
Or
perfect.
depending on how your hair is going,
Yeah,
it's how tight
exactly.
you need
exactly.
to go.
Depending
I
on
gotcha.
what fade
This
I
is
got.
awesome.
Yeah.
This
Dude,
is
thanks,
great.
man.
Yeah,
That's
thank
awesome,
you.
man.
Appreciate
Yeah, you
it.
got it.
Yeah,
you
these
got
are great.
it. You
We're
got
gonna
it. You
put 'em
got
on.
This is
it.
awesome.
So well,
Yeah,
I was
throw 'em
going to
on the
say
table.
let's casually product place these. So anyway, they're there. All right. Well, look, let's. I feel like this episode is now going to be a big anticlimax after showing off.
I'm going to bring it. Don't worry. I'm going to bring it.
You're going to bring
We're
it.
gonna bring
Okay.
it.
Good.
Well, today's episode is all about our illustrious co-host. No,
do
not
it.
Matt Welch.
Let's
It
do
is.
it. No, it's all about me. It's all about me
It's
today.
all Mr. Andrew Hurst. So why don't you kick it off with a quick elevator pitch about yourself, who you are, what you do, and who
Yeah.
calls you dad.
So, as you guys know, my name is Andrew Hurst. We live in the Cleveland, Ohio, west side suburbs.
Yep.
And I'm in logistics. So I own a couple different companies, all kind of logistics based. Some are software related, some are like actual movement of goods. So my world is kind of in the logistics space. Been doing that for 20 plus years. My wife and I have 11 kids together.
Yep. Boys, girls, mixed.
So we got 5 boys, 6 girls.
Yep.
And all one marriage. Like it's not a blended family. It's one marriage, one after another.
Yep.
No twins. We have some Irish twins, like ones that are within a year apart. But we felt strongly about letting God choose a number of our kids, and so got married young and basically
Got started, huh?
Got started, and our oldest is 17 and our youngest is 3. Like I said, we have 5 boys and 6 girls.
And is this a fair question to ask? You guys are done with kids?
Yes, I believe we're officially done.
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah. My question was going to be, who's your favorite?
Who's my favorite? They know.
Well, how would your kids describe what you do for work then?
Interesting. I would say that they all know I'm in logistics because I talk about it constantly.
Yeah.
In fact, more times than not, they'll be annoyed because anytime we drive anywhere, we'll be driving down the highway or the turnpike, and I'll mention all the trucks going by, and I'll be like, "Do you guys realize how
boy.
much money is being generated by that truck rolling by?"
Yeah.
And I'll give them a breakdown of it. So they know I'm in logistics.
Yep.
They know
You're super boring.
they know that Dad writes. That Dad has a software company.
Yep.
And that's about it, I think.
So
So
with
I
all
think
the-
they think I'm
Yeah.
in logistics.
So with,
yeah.
with all those companies, then how does a typical work day or a work week look like for you?
Yeah. So we've got all of our kids now go to school. So like the youngest is in preschool. This is the first year they're all in school.
Yeah.
And so the days typically start early, like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Up, coffee, devotion. Then I'll try to hit the gym pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then my calls typically start around like 8-ish. I'll start with my calls.
Yeah.
Usually in the office between like 9:30, something like that. And I work late. Like I like working late. My wife and I had for the longest time, we were very adamant about being home for dinner.
Yeah.
Like the whole family's home for dinner. And that lasted a good season of our life as much as I could. I always had crazy hours, but as much as we could. Now we've got kids with practice that go late, and now I'm like, I'll leave here and go pick up a football kid practice and drop him off and go, drop kids off at church later, something like that. So we're a little bit more all over the place, and we have been for the last couple of years, and probably for the next 15 years it'll be that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, the day goes, pretty normally, like I think most days. I don't travel a ton. I would say I try to limit my like out of town travel to maybe like 6 to 10 times a year. And that's just because I necessarily haven't had this crazy need to do it. I've been able to do everything remotely, or as much as I can remotely. So yeah, I mean, pretty much home every night. Try to kiss the kids and give them baths, all that sort of stuff. Be the normal dad,
So to be clear, no cold plunges, no mouth tape.
No, none of that. Like if we're getting into like, the superhuman type stuff,
Sure.
no, none of that. I mean, we have a sauna, so we'll sauna every now and
There
then.
you go.
I work out, like I said, I go to the gym most mornings. I'm super adamant about like when I wake up, and this is something I don't know, and when I go to bed, like I'll spend no time on my screen going to bed. Like I almost always will, besides my Kindle, like the e-reader type versions.
Yeah.
I'll do that before bed, but I like to read a lot. Like I've
Yeah.
started to read a ton actually, in the last maybe 5 to 10 years. So I do a lot of reading. But yeah, and then my morning devotions are like super critical for me to like kind of like center my time.
Do you do those by yourself with your wife?
By myself, but what my wife and I do, like we do the Bible in a year app thing, and so we're like typically reading the same thing. We might talk about it, but we don't do it together just because of timing. But we typically connect at least once in the morning before we go away.
What does the
School and
timeline look like in terms of like starting some of these companies relative to like when you started having kids as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started working for my dad in kind of our first company, or my first company, like when I was 19 or 20 years old. And
was that always the plan? You wanted to work with your
No, not at all. No, I didn't want anything to do with logistics.
Okay.
So I got in, at a young age, so like I'm talking like 14, 15, 16, I was doing computer, development. And this was like mid to late 90s. If you could do that, you were able to like make a ton of money.
Yeah.
So I was working in an international firm, and I basically decided I just want to write code for the rest of my life. You were able to make great money back then. I was a network administrator. It was fantastic. I was going to school. My dad needed some help, and like through a course of events, I ended up doing some like the operations work, and I basically was like, I love this. I want to do this for the rest of my life, and I did that solely for about 8 years. That's when we got married. We had our first kid. And when we were having our second kid, maybe it was 6 years, when we were having our second kid, we were struggling with a problem internally at ARC, which was my dad's company that he started. We were struggling with a problem internally about staying compliant with some federal regulations. And out of that was born Varut, which is a company that I started when we were having our second child.
That's the swag you're wearing right now.
Yep, that's the Varut swag.
Like
And it just turned into that company's been around for I think 13, 14 years now, and it is a great software company, and we provide compliance solutions for manufacturers, shippers, those in the logistics space. And then along the way, we've started other companies or acquired companies. And then we started Delivered recently, which is a parcel delivery company. In the same vein of seeing a need in the market and wanting and feeling like we are the best capable of fulfilling that need.
Yeah.
I think uniquely through this whole time, like I went from being very much like operationally minded, and then through some incredible people in my life that I would consider mentors, they've been able to help me like kind of like scale out a little bit and see what I'm both good at and what I should be more focused on, because at the end of the day, especially when you're a dad, most of your minutes in your day are accounted for. So it's like, how do you maximize your impact on those minutes when you're either away from the family or while you're with the family? And so I think over the last decade or two, it's really been focused on like continually optimizing for the outcomes that I want, both professionally, but also I think more importantly, personally.
So you've grown some companies. You started with your own company, family business. Then you built your own company. Then, like you said, you have multiple new ones.
Yeah.
You have 11 kids? Is the goal 11 companies, or what's the
maybe,
goal here?
Maybe
It's a
one
company
day.
for each kid. Most guys buy watches per kid. But it might be,
Andrew starts a business for each kid.
It might be cheaper.
It's actually funny. So like you talk about legacy, and you think like, my dad did not think anybody was going to like come in, take over part of his business, whatever. And I've talked to my kids because I think that's like, would just be so awesome to have my kids in it. And now granted, a lot of them are like, sub 13 years old, so they don't really know. But my oldest, he's got a very clear plan of what he wants to do with his life, and I'm super proud of it. And most of them do. But just over the weekend, actually, my 14-year-old was like, "So, Dad, what do you think about me? What does it look like if I was to get involved with something you're doing?" I'm like, he was asking if you. No, this. You
start tearing up.
Hold on, no, it wasn't that good. So if you die, Dad, what happens to the company?
There you go.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do I get it? I'm like, no, you don't get it.
No, you bozo. It's going to me.
There's shareholders, all sorts of stuff out there that it doesn't just go to you. I'm like, you don't even want to do this anyway. And he's like, yeah, I do. So anyway, it was one of those like those beautiful moments that were like tainted by me dying somehow.
Did he throw the poison away then at that point?
Like, the bottle with the X skull and bones. He's just like.
So you've had a lot of kids during, obviously, as you've grown and scaled businesses.
Yeah.
How has being a dad either helped you, or do you feel like it hurt you at all trying to do something new? Because I think some people could see those two things growing at the same time as being an impossibility. So how did you pull that off?
That's a good question. I would say I would always start with God's grace. That's what I would always say is God's grace first and foremost. But I think you have to optimize for the eventual future you want. And you have to be willing to give up certain things. So like I knew what I wanted. And the reason why we have so many kids is like we knew what we want in the future. And we always talk about people so often in their life. My wife and I always talk about this is people so often in their life want to write a check at some point, but they haven't deposited for it. And so we knew that we wanted, to have grandkids. We wanted a lively house. We wanted all these things. And, we saw so many people go through their life and they might have had a couple kids, but then their kids grow and they move away. And not that they have bad lives, but then it's just like, okay, well, how many times can you golf? And how many times, then you have to find a whole group of friends and then it's just awkward. And we wanted a life that was centered around family. And we wanted to be able to impact in our world, impact the kingdom in a meaningful way through our kids. And so we knew that was a big part of it. And so, but the other burning desire in me was like, I want to, when I see a problem, I want to be able to solve it. Every time I say that, I think of what's his name? Check out the hook while my DJ revolves.
Yeah. I probably heard you say that phrase 1,000 times.
Every time,
just this week.
Every time I say it. So with that, I don't know the original question now that I've talked a little bit, but the reality is like
terrible attention to detail.
Yeah, right. Terrible attention. But I think you have to be willing to trade off. Like I said, I don't travel all that much. So like a job that would require me to do a bunch of traveling or a deal, unless it was an outsized deal, it'd be like, it has to fit inside the confines of kind of what I'm comfortable with, what my family's comfortable with, for me to kind of participate in it.
Playing off what Matt said then, what was then the hardest stage of fatherhood for you?
Oh man. There was a point where we had, I think it was 5 kids under the age of 5. And I think you're going to be there. Or no, you're going to be 4 under 4. 4 under 4.
Yeah.
There's moments there, especially now that was during the peak. That was just trying to get Varut profitable. And it was like, I would go to bed at 2 a.m. and wake up at like 5 or 6 and do the whole thing over and over and over. It was just brutal because you have these little kids, and we talked about like bath time and stuff like that. Everything was balanced on a razor's edge, and anytime anything went wrong, so kids get the sniffles, a customer says no, whatever it was, it was like my life would just explode. Like I was always angry, always on edge. I give a lot of credit to my wife because I was probably a very, very unfun person to be around for probably about a 3-year period between the age
you're fun now?
Just my checking. Oldest being 4 to 7. I think that was like the most challenging part of it, and maybe a little bit later. Maybe it was more like 7 to 10. But we got over it. We got through it.
What would you say your parenting superpower is then to get you through that period, or is there something from that period that's hardened you to make you a better parent? I can withstand an insane amount of pain, like insane. Like I would be. Just talking like emotional, right? Emotional, physical. Dude, when you're holding kids, kids all night long, and then you wake up. Nothing builds your traps better. And you do it again, and you do it again. And then you're sitting at a desk, and you're like, I had insomnia during that time too, because then your body just doesn't know what to do.
Doesn't know sleep.
And it was probably one of the worst worst parts. But I'd say it's both physical and mental when you have those young kids, because my wife would be nursing one and I'd be walking with, the other one, or have to deal with the other ones, or try to give her a little bit of time to sleep. So then you're walking with that one. And
So obviously I got to know you both on a professional life, and Matt and I both know you from a friendship standpoint. I'd say your kids obviously don't get to see a lot of your professional life.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that they would notice, or what would you hope that they would notice about your professional life if they were to spend a day in the office?
I think I'm more thoughtful in my professional life, or at least I come off as more thoughtful in my professional life. I've taught myself to maybe take a beat before I say exactly
a
what
little
I'm
more
thinking.
patience in the office.
Maybe more patience in the office.
That's a pretty good dad.
And maybe I don't yell as much. It was funny. My wife came in. I don't know. This was a few years back, and I was standing with a couple of our coworkers, and my wife makes a joke about she's like, "Oh, because you never yell." And they kind of looked at her quizzically, "What are you talking about?" And she's like he yells a lot, right? And they're like, "No, Andrew's not a yeller. What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Are you kidding me? At home, all he does is yell." Da, da, da. So
we can tell when Andrew wants to yell.
He's got that vein. That vein just starts throbbing.
He throttles it back. Yeah, that's great.
What would you say is one life lesson then that you're trying to model for your kids, as you think about whether it's the word is intentionality or something specific that you're doing in your professional life? What are you hoping to model for them?
I think we all have I think we all innately have a calling that we have kind of built into us, and trying to identify that. So that's one thing I hope that they see. And I could have gone a lot of different ways, and entrepreneurially, that's why I almost cringe when someone calls me an entrepreneur, because it's I am in certain ways, but I'm not. I don't care to solve a problem that's way outside the scope. And you're big into real estate, and while I love the idea of it, it's I know my lane, so I'm going to stick in my lane because I know what I've been created for. And so as I look at my kids, or one thing I'd hope they'd be able to glean from it is persistence is a great pathway to excellence. And it's so easy to get bored in what you're doing. And if you look at what I do from the outside, and most of the time on the inside, it's pretty boring. But you could say that about anybody, any professional athlete. It's probably extremely boring. If you were to go through Kobe or Jordan and you were to see what they did, you'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend 6 hours in the gym just shooting free throws all day long every day. So there's an incredible amount of boring, there's a boringness that comes with it, but there's a persistence. And I think that if you really want to be excellent at anything, and whether I'm excellent or not, I've been able to accomplish certain things, but I only look at it through just perseverance and persistence, because I wasn't born necessarily gifted with any sort of talent more than the next person. I don't believe. I believe it's just a sheer desire to succeed and a persistence, and really finding what God's will for my life was, and then being comfortable pursuing it, even though it might not be as glamorous. Because when you're working for your dad in a small family company, in the environment we were working, it was it almost looked like I had failed at life. By a lot of standards, if you were looking at it from the outside, you'd be like, wow, that guy's just, he's just hoping that his dad dies one day and he can hope, get that. And so there's a little bit of we knew what we wanted. My wife and I knew what we wanted to accomplish. We knew the pathway we wanted to go there. And I think that persistence and not really kind of blocking out the noise and focusing on it. So I hope that my kids get that, no matter what your dream is, because some of my kids have insane dreams. Literally, you're going to be 1 out of 10 people in the world that can accomplish this thing, and they have that dream. And I say go for it, because why not? Not unrealistic dreams. Plan your pathway to that dream and just be persistent.
Yeah. So how was started these companies made you a better dad? Would you think?
Patience.
Yeah.
I think the idea of patience and resource allocation is critical, and that's a business. That's obviously 101 in starting a company. And I think so. Those are two critical things. But also, you mentioned, your dad's superpower a little bit ago. One of the things that I'm always able to do is get my kids and my family happy and motivated and growing in the same direction. So if we're having one of those days where everybody's crying, I'm crying, Anna's crying, all the kids are crying, whatever it might be. I'm usually the person who's going to go and flip on tunes, have a dance party, or in kind of okay, everybody get in the car, we're going to go get ice cream, or do whatever, try to build that morale. And to where I think there's a couple things, but outside of the standard, you only got so many dollars in the bank. You've only got so many hours in a day. How do you allocate that to where kids feel that you're being intentional, as opposed to just like buying your kids off with stuff?
Yeah.
Although I'm not, above that.
No,
I bought
I'm not
Starbucks
above it.
many times for a kid to make them feel good. But I think those are some areas that I would say that I focus on. And I would say that going through these business development phases of understanding, like, even though something is not important to me, it doesn't mean it's not maybe important to the people that are on my team. And I have to like spend time in that area, even if it's something that like I might not value.
That's what I was going to flip the question around. How has being a dad made you a better business owner? And that kind of addresses maybe some of that.
And I would say kind of the same thing. Like I to be a better business owner or to be a better leader in the business from being a dad is like, you'll have a lot of opinions if you have a lot of kids. And we have raised our kids, for better or worse, to be able to kind of say how they feel about things with respect, right?
Yeah.
But be very open with how they feel about how something is going.
Is that different to how you were raised?
I wouldn't say that we were ever like not able to give our opinion, but it wasn't like weighed in any decision.
Gotcha.
Right? Like
we hear you and it doesn't matter.
Well, you got to remember, like when we were raised, like kids were seen and not heard.
Sure. Yeah.
Like our kids, again, this is better or worse. We try to say like, hey, if we want you to be heard, not just seen, but just don't be stupid. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the prerequisite we go with. But we do care what our kids feel about something, to where if we're planning on doing something, we do try to get, I don't want to say consensus, because that makes it feel like they're in control of the situation. Sure. But we try to have a discussion around why we're doing it. And regardless if they want to or not, they're going to be forced to. But we also expect them to say like, listen, we as a family have decided to do this. You're part of this family. Mm-hmm. You don't just get to opt in and opt out when things are fun or when they're not fun. You have to do these things because that's what it is. And I think when you look at it through the lens of a business, that's really what you're saying is like, when you're part of a team, you're opting into the whole team. For those inside of a company that just want to like pick and choose and be like, I want all the good, but I want none of the bad, which is, a lot of people want that because that's obviously what everybody would want. It's really hard to go deep inside of a company and to really like gain any sort of real responsibility or authority or reliability from your peers if you're not willing to kind of put forth that like all for one for all mentality.
What are some of the non-negotiables that you have in terms of being a parent, whether it's specific to not missing games or being, and you touched on, once upon a time being home for dinner time.
Yeah.
What are some of your non-negotiables in this season of parenthood?
Yeah. I don't know if we have any like non-negotiables. I think what we've really moved to, at least at this point, like I would love to say like, oh, I'm not going to miss my kid's game, or I'm never going to miss a birthday. The reality is like, because of how intentional we are, the other 364 or 363 days of the year, whatever it is, like besides those 1 or 2 days, I think it makes it a little bit less challenging to do that. I would say one of the things more recently is I'm not Jewish, but one of the things I've started to do is basically say from Friday evening to Saturday evening, it's completely blocked off nearly every single weekend, and it's just family time. So I'm basically home. No, I'm not necessarily home all the time. Sometimes we'll be at a football game with my kids or we'll go do something. But I'm basically available to the family to where they know if they need something or want something or want to work on a project, they can use that time to schedule with me. And so I would say like,
I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm picturing like a calendar that kids can like block off time.
No,
like you're building a birdhouse,
no,
like
genuinely,
from 10 to 11 and then 12 to 1.
That's genuinely how it feels. So like I'll go and that's like no screen. So like, I mean, I might like look at something on my phone or whatever, but like I don't check my email, check nothing. And so it'll be like,
start responding to my texts. I'm like,
no, like if you notice, you'll see like, and then like Sunday morning, you'll see the wall of responses start coming through to everybody. Cause I take a break, and it's not because it's super frustrating for me to do that too, because I'm like an always on guy. And so it kills me to do that. But I feel for like my spiritual sense and for my kids and for my family, it like is incredibly healthy for me to create one guardrail that I basically can say like, hey, this gives me time to connect with my wife, my kids. They feel like they can see me to where even if it's just like a Saturday morning, I'll grab 2 of them. We'll go pick up donuts for the rest. We'll come back. I'll plop down on the couch and watch, a Bluey episode or 2, which is like, to me, kills me inside. Like,
what do the
I'm
kids
just like,
do
all
while
I
you're
want to
watching
do
Bluey?
was that.
What do the kids do while you're watching Bluey?
All I want to do is like go and work on this thing that's in my head.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
But it's like I can't.
That's
or then
the worst.
we'll do projects. Whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So thinking about like just, legacy and reflection and some of the things that you've touched on, what do you hope your kids would say about you when they're fully grown and leave the house?
That was reliable and that I cared.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the biggest thing is like, I know that I'm not going to get every decision right with my kids or even every business. Like, you're not going to get every decision right. But I do care, like deeply care about each one of my kids, about what they care about their visions, their hopes, their dreams.
Yeah.
And, I try to like lead with compassion and lead in a way that they would be able to say, this is a representation of how I would want my Heavenly Father to react to me. And so I'm hoping that kind of comes through with my kids where they can look back and be like, man, Dad really did know how to love us. He loved us well. He cared about us individually. I'd love it if all my in-laws, like the kids that marry into the family, my wife and I have a very like clear understanding, because for better or worse, when you marry into family, some families are like, we have our kids and then we have the in-laws, right? Uh-huh. And, we're like, my wife and I at least are very, very against that. We want it to be one cohesive family unit, for better or worse, one cohesive family unit. And I hope that like, even to the point that like the kids that come in are in-law, our whatever, son-in-law and daughter-in-laws, that they can even feel that like the reciprocation of that love through the family, just because I think we are in a world that is so like polarizing that even inside the family, there's like ideology that's so polarizing, it pushes people to one side or the other. And while I have obviously specific beliefs around whatever politics or social issues, I don't want that to be what my kids remember me by or whatever. I want them to think like genuinely believe like Dad always loved us well. He always demonstrated care for us. He was like had a baseline of reality. Like, I'll give you an example. This past weekend, my son's 17 years old, and there was a house party. And obviously we're all teenagers at one point. We all know what goes on at house parties. Yeah. Most parents, at least growing up, I'd have been told, you can't go to a house party. This stuff's happening. And they kind of get on your case about it. And I basically was just like, he was like, hey, Dad, I'm going to this party. And I was like, hey, there's going to be some things, and kind of just walk through them. I'm like, you're not supposed to do those things. Obviously, you're not ready for that yet, whatever. And we kind of talked through it. And then I was like, and if any mistake happens, you call my phone. Don't try to solve it yourself. Call my phone. And again, this is not for me to say like, go, you have carte blanche, because like you're going to get in trouble. Yeah. You're going to get in trouble if you do something stupid. Yeah. But the idea is like, how often do we feel that when we sin, when we make a mistake, we try to cover up our mistake rather than feeling we can come to someone and be like, hey, I made this mistake, please help me. And so that's kind of what I want to be for my.
It's funny is I just started reading that book that you put me on to, Extreme Ownership.
Yeah,
that's exactly what that book would basically say.
Yeah. I've read Jocko.
Jocko,
baby. Yeah. Nice. Want to pivot to something a little bit lighthearted, because that was getting
that was deep. I almost cried on that one.
Yeah. Are we gonna be one of those podcasts that like cries at the end? Which is
I got some lighthearted ones.
Yeah, go for it.
Beach or mountains, Andrew?
Oh, beach.
Okay. Yep. I think I know the answer to this.
Why? I don't know.
Hey, to each his own. All right, he's a beach guy. He wants to be the beach.
I like sun. I love sun.
I can't sit around. I get
love
so
sun.
antsy.
Oh, I'm not saying I sit around on a beach. I like a beach. Like if I'm going to sit somewhere, it's going to be a beach.
Okay. You're right. We don't need to debate these.
Yeah. So I think I know the answer to this one because I know your entrance song. But rock or rap?
Rock. It depends. Okay. I go through phases. But I'd say like if I had to listen to one for the rest of my life, it'd be rock.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of Enter Sandman too.
Yeah, gotta be.
So
Metallica. Song. Yeah, absolutely.
What's the song that you currently sing in the shower?
Ooh, I like that.
Hardy 30-06.
All right, nice. I think you plugged that already before.
I plugged Hardy.
That was like weeks ago, man. That thing, he's been taking up space in your head, bro.
Dude, he lives in my head rent free right now. And it's really because my daughter, so my oldest daughter, when I pick her up, we're driving anywhere, she always gets in and she's like, 30-06, Dad? I'm like, 30-06. And we just start screaming it out. Or Benson Boone song. That freaking beautiful thing song. It's first off, it's everywhere.
Catchy. Yeah.
But yeah.
That's good. Last one was, what's your favorite food if you get to go to?
Is it like have to eat for the rest of my life?
No.
Or like what
you just get to pick. It's Andrew's day. He gets to pick the food.
I typically pick like a steak and potato type stuff, like pretty basic. But if it's like one of my favorite food. I love spaghetti, dude. I love spaghetti meatballs.
Well, that's the Sicilian in you, man.
I mean, I
so-
love, like, it'd be very hard, but you can't eat that every day.
No, you can't.
I mean, you could.
I mean, you could, but you're going to be 300 pounds pretty quickly.
Yeah, you'd be
so.
trouble. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, look, let's wrap it up. Any final dad shout outs or advice that you have for us?
No, just I would never sacrifice what you want in like your like family life for professional. I think the magic is finding how you can marry the two.
Yep.
You don't want to wake up one day when you're 50 and be like, oh man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And so that's my only thing is, and I try to tell everybody that. I try to tell like my younger brother's dad. I've tried to anybody that asks my opinion on it. It's just like, don't sacrifice.
Even if they don't ask your opinion.
Even if they don't, right? I mean, genuinely, like, don't sacrifice it.
Yeah.
And like, I would also say on the marriage side, like, it's my wife and I have walked through a lot of challenging times. Not so much like me and her, but just like the stuff surrounding us.
Yeah.
And I think that like it's super critical to try to, as much as possible, like connect with your wife. I've shared before like ways that we've connected on a regular basis. I think that's super critical for like a healthy business, a healthy relationship is just like letting your partner know, hey, this is what my goals are versus their goals, and figuring out where those marry up. Because there's times that I have to sacrifice things because my wife wants to do things and vice versa. And, it can't always be one way or the other. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's what I'd say.
All right. And then final piece, finish this sentence. Being a dad is ...
Probably as rewarding as it is challenging.
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Awesome. I feel like that's a great way to end. Why don't you take us home,
I
Matt?
think Andrew should take us home today since this is
Yeah,
this
why
episode.
not?
So guys, if you loved hearing me, you can email me directly. No, if you guys, we'd love for you guys to kind of join in the conversation. You can find us on all the standard social media stuff,
Yep.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all these podcasts. Leave comments. We love comments. We're trying to build a community of dads here that appreciate being a dad, want to understand how they can navigate both being a dad, being a good dad, but also being good in the boardroom, so to speak. And so with that, follow us, download our podcast on Spotify or what is it, Apple or whatever,
Apple,
iTunes,
Spotify,
whatever.
every platform
all of
that's
them.
available.
So
We're
we
on
appreciate
them.
it. And till next time, have a great day, guys.
Peace out.
Awesome.
Cheers.
See you.